Hello and welcome to This One Thing, a daily video devotional coming to you from First Presbyterian Church of Fort Lauderdale. And together we'll be looking at one text and choosing one thing for you to consider. And we hope that you find this a thought-provoking, encouraging part of your day. I came across an article on social media yesterday that was making some pretty derogatory claims about someone, and it pointed to the past actions of this person as the basis for how we should view them now, which I think is something that most of us do, right? We look at how people have behaved in the past, and we tend to treat them based on those actions. Now, this news article came from a news source with which I was unfamiliar with, and so I was curious as to both the sources and just the validity of the article. And so I began fact-checking some of the material. And I learned that it was produced by a news outlet that I had not heard of before, and so I did a quick Google search to find out that this news outlet was owned by a nonprofit organization. We'll call it Organization A. And that Organization A tended to have conservative leanings. In fact, Organization A had been named a hate group by another organization. We'll call that Organization B. Now, I was also unfamiliar with Organization B, so I did the same thing. I did a Google search and dug a little deeper, only to find out that Organization B was identified as a liberal-leaning group. So are you following? So Organization A is conservative-leaning, Organization B is liberal-leaning. And Organization B had come under scrutiny for perhaps unfairly labeling certain organizations as hate groups. And so suffice to say that I was left sort of throwing my hands up in the air, exasperated just at how hard it can be to find reliable sources, to find unbiased information that is neither left nor right-leaning, and left with the question is, where do we find the so-called experts? And all of that probably comes as no surprise to you, but it does make me think. Where are we to go for good information, for making decisions? What does your decision-making process look like now? Who do you go to when you need advice or when you need information? What are your trusted sources or reliable people? Over the course of history, people have looked in all kinds of places. Centuries ago, people went to oracles. They went to soothsayers to try and understand what decisions should be made. Kings and queens surrounded themselves with people of wisdom, with counselors, with sages. In Jesus' culture, the rabbis, they held a place of very high esteem as interpreters of the law. You would look to them to tell you how to live so that you could be sure that you were abiding by the will of God. They were the experts. So how do we know now? Where is it that we're supposed to get our information? Is it from social media? Is it from friends? Is it from a variety of news outlets? Our text today from the book of Matthew deals specifically with this question, and it's a familiar text. It's one that in fact is used so often that my guess is many likely forget that it's Jesus who said it to begin with. And we find it in the close of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount in chapter 7. In chapter 7, verse 12, he says this: in everything, do to others as you would have them do to you. For this is the law and the prophets. Biblical scholar Dale Bruner points out that in this one sentence, Jesus frees people, Jesus frees us from the reign of so-called experts. Jesus frees us from the clutches of either left-leaning or right-leaning agendas. In these words, Christ says that you and I are equipped to answer these questions. Jesus says in dealing with other people, for the most part, you only need to look in one place: yourself. And answer the question, what would you have people do to you? And here's the one thing, it's what Jesus doesn't say. He doesn't say, do to others what they have done to you, but rather what you would have them do to you. You see, it's an approach that looks forward. It's an approach that looks forward with hope and not backward with hate. It's an approach which challenges us to imagine how we would like to be treated and initiate change in the world born out of a dream of what we would like it to be for ourselves. An approach which challenges us to imagine how we would like this world to look. Friends, I invite you to be safe and be well, to have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.